But it's great to see where we are as a county. The challenges are plenty out there. But what's really evident, and many of the issues that Tom talked about, is typical of Lancaster County. We're willing to roll up our sleeves to get the job done. And we very much appreciate, myself and my two colleagues, Dennis and Craig, the partnership that we have been able to enter into on so many different areas with the Lancaster Chamber. They are very passionate about the community, all of you, and trying to address issues. And things that you don't see in every day when we talk about some of the things that even we want feedback on. It's good to know that the Chamber and its board are willing to give us that input that we need, because that does help make a very prosperous community. Now, as far as the county, the first thing usually people ask me is, how is our budget outlook for this year? So, you know, this is our third budget. And unfortunately, this is the third budget also in this economic environment. And if you heard us say it once, you heard me say it a million times before, is the fact that, you know, it's easy to feel all bad about ourselves. And, oh, our residents, oh, what are we going to do? But there always is a silver lining to situations like this. And that silver lining is a good time to look at how we conduct our business and say, is there a way for us to do things better? Is there waste we can remove? Is there duplication we can remove? What, in essence, in your terms, is what helps improve our bottom line and helps us deliver a better product. And that's the mentality that we've had. And every year we've been engaged in many different efficiency studies, and this year is no exception. I'm sure you've heard of many of them. Some have been controversial. Some have been under the radar. But at the end of the day, you know, in county government, that we are asking the hard questions. It's by no accident, I'm just going to use the Human Relations Commission's example, it's by no accident that it's been about 5 months since that dialogue's been started. We wanted input. We're getting input. We're continuing to get input. And obviously that'll be culminating here on Wednesday. But things like printing, determining the fact that the way we do printing isn't the most effective way in Lancaster County. You can imagine in government how much paper we go through in various print shops. The first question that comes to mind is, why are we as a government entity competing with something that the private sector does and does very well? Let's make it a competitive process and let's engage in that fashion, and that's what we're doing. Weights and measures. Through what I would call some pretty flawed legislation that goes back, Craig, was it the 1990s in regards to weight and measures? Creating a system that once again looks at us as Lancaster County taxpayers and say, we're willing to take your state tax revenue, but we're not willing to provide a service back to you, and us turning around and taxing our people on an already heavily strained property tax system, once again, provide a system that should be standardized across the state. That also has now been turned back over to the state. Just this week on Friday, we received our prison staffing evaluation, looking at how we do things. Do we have the right supervision models in place? Are we too heavy from an administrative perspective, not putting enough dollars back into inmate services? Those are things that we're having conversations about. And I'm really happy to also say that looking at one of the biggest chunks of our budget, dealing with the Court of Common Pleas, something that has independent elected judges that oversees, the fact that we are able to get them to do an efficiency study is a sign that they realize in this environment it helps us all, even if they look at how they engage in the court process and whether it can be done more efficiently. And if you've been following any discussion pertaining to our county prison and the overcrowding, we see a lot of back and forth, what we should build, if we should build. The one great thing that's going unnoticed is that from a court systems process, they are now forming a criminal justice system task force to look at, are there better systems out there? Are there things outside the box, looking at best practices in order to quicken the time that it takes to get through the court process, which saves us money directly, because the quicker you process those people every day they're in prison, it eases your capacity and it saves us costs. And that's the kind of mindset that we're trying to establish throughout county government. I'm happy to say a lot of the other elected officials are also buying into that. And finally, and I saw Tom here talking about LancasterHistory.org. You know, a lot of people don't know that from an archives and records perspective, that they have actually been engaged in keeping a good portion of the county records already. We've had a wonderful partnership with them. So we're currently looking at how we can further increase their role in helping to achieve their mission and also streamlining our operations. And it's been a true partnership, and we have a team that's looking at it right now. I'm cautiously optimistic for the third straight year that we're not going to raise property taxes. I know we are committed to that. We still have a few bits and pieces, including our early retirement program we offer, which about 95 people took, and where we're going to realize savings on there. Some other notable projects, just to give you an update, a couple that were associated with the sale of Conestoga View. You know, we eventually had to deal with the morgue issue in the Forensic Center. In a partnership with Lancaster General Hospital and their property out on the health campus, we look to hopefully be breaking ground in the spring. We talk about children and youth, one of our largest entities that's out in the historic Alms House. They have to be out by 2015. And so now is the time that we're starting to prepare for that. And we've already actively been engaged in having a discussion of build versus lease. Existing office space, and unfortunately there is some throughout the county that possibly could house children and youth. So we're already having those conversations and preparations for them getting out. The Lancaster County Radio Project, a huge issue. This issue goes back about darn near 11 years. Right now, and I don't know if Paul Quinn is here or not, but I'm going to tell you a little story about the radio project. We were engaged in what's called an 800 megahertz system, and we had a contractor on the way. When we got in, it was very evident that through the radio committee and where this was going in terms of cost and actually the quality of the product, we said for the best interest of our first responders and our taxpayers' wallets, it's time to sever that relationship, which we did. They set a course of action looking for abandoned television lines. We made an application, and what ended up happening was Channel 8, after the digital conversion, Channel 8 also applied for the same frequency and actually got it right away, even though we had been going through a two-year process in order to make that happen. For a product that we felt was better in terms of penetration and coverage throughout this entire county, and more cost-effective as it would cost us less and the municipalities and fire companies in terms of equipment and ongoing maintenance. Channel 8, once they realized that we as the county were going to do that for public safety purposes, immediately reevaluated and went in another direction. They knew why we wanted Channel 15. And in all due respect, that could have filled in some of the gaps when they made the conversion. But talk about just the dedication to this community that Channel 8 decided to go in a different direction for the general good of all of us says a lot about them. And so my hat's off to them. Now, currently, in the battle over whether or not to allow this to happen between the Media Bureau and the Public Safety Bureau down in Washington and the FCC, they couldn't decide. So it's been turned over to the chairman's office of the FCC. Myself, Congressman Pitts, just talked to the solicitor for the chairman about 2 weeks ago on a Friday, and they're hoping to have that decision soon. And that's very critical because as we move into next year, we're up against some time frames as to getting this thing complete because we're running out of space on our existing system and our opportunities with other frequencies. We're going to run out of the opportunity to have those licenses if we don't apply. So very important. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm actually going to, maybe I can talk about some of this when we have our panel discussion. But if there's a couple things I can rally every single person around this room behind, there's three things from a legislative perspective. One is transportation funding, as Tom had mentioned. We need a surface transportation bill from the federal government. We need the state to do their part to fix their funding issue with transportation. But Tom hit a real critical element, and that is the funding formula. Across the board, many different things we do. We are a tax-generating entity for the Commonwealth. One of the largest out of all the metropolitan areas. But typically, our ROI on our tax dollars, for whether it's health for mentally retarded children or transportation, we tend to be on the bottom rung of all the counties. That absolutely needs to change. The next thing is pension reform. Just like municipal governments, just like county government, the state government, we need true pension reform. We don't need Band-Aids that kick the can down the road. The way the system is set up right now greatly is not fair to the taxpayers, and we definitely need reform there. And finally, it's this. This is the big one I'll close with. The property tax system is an antiquated system. It's regressive, and the fact of the matter is we have 185,000 taxable parcels in the county of Lancaster. Think about that. Individuals own multiple parcels as well. Out of that scenario, think about all the nonprofits that aren't paying taxes. Think about Clean and Green and all the people in that program that get preferential assessment. Think of Chapel Point and retirement communities who can now claim certain exemptions on their properties. We even have people that push for property tax millage freezes for farmers. As you can see, that's a dwindling and dwindling base. So out of that system of 185,000 taxable parcels, with everything else, all the caveats I gave, is supporting county government, municipal government, and school districts for 507,000 people. That system is eventually going to tip over. The message needs to be delivered to Harrisburg, and I really believe we have some good Lancaster County representation, a lot of Governor-elect Corbett's policy teams, is that the mindset that we can't trust you on a local level to choose a taxing menu that best fits your local economy, that you may abuse it. Our message back is we'll let our taxpayers hold us accountable to that, but allow us the means to be able to successfully provide services in the most efficient manner possible. So that's something, whether you're Republican or you're a Democrat, or whether you lean, that's something we can all rally upon. I know I exhausted my time, but I just have to get that out there. And I guess you want me to turn it over to Mayor Rick Gray.